Ahoy guys, and welcome back to I Like Old Watches 2. I've had a brand new San Martin turn up. This is the SN006. More specifically, it is the latest version of their vintage inspired, I'm going to call it a homage diver, but this one has, well, a no date dial on it. Now the AliExpress sale is in full swing. I'm not going to have time to produce a full and comprehensive review of this watch, so in this video I'm going to do a sort of in-between unboxing and full review. But before I head over to the Lightbox and unbox this watch and share with you my first impressions and all the facts, figures, stats and specifications, I want to give you the prices because I've made a note of the prices before the sale started, but also the discounts or the sale price and the percentage off. So before the sale started, it was $258 US. I've now been offered this watch with the $5 off for every $30 spent that I've been offered for $209.60. That is a 19% discount in euros. I've been offered it for 225 euros. In pounds, it's 197 pounds. So just short of 20% off in the sale. That's pretty good, isn't it? Typical, isn't it? As soon as I stop recording, I remember the other thing I wanted to point out, and that is I've just noticed on the San Martin official store that they're offering those of you lucky enough to be able to order San Martin watches from the Spanish warehouse, they're offering you extra discounts. Now the watches do get to you within 3 to 5 days, which is, you know, much quicker than they would get to you if they were coming to you from China, but they're offering some incredible watches at even bigger discounts. Now sadly those of us in the UK can't make the most of those deals, but yeah, if you live in Europe, don't forget to order your watches from the Spanish warehouse if that's where they're being kept. Alright, now I'm going to head over to the Lightbox and show you this watch. Right, there we go, all the plastic's been removed. I've put some power into the YN55A. It is a Seiko Epson movement, beating at 21,600 beats per hour, hacks and hand winds. Yeah, I've moved the hands out the way as well so you can have a good look at this no-date dial. This is a no-date version. Interestingly, I never saw the version 1. This is the version 2. I know what you're thinking. Wow, a homage that looks like this that Gary hasn't featured on any of his channels ever. And you're probably also thinking, wow, a San Martin that Gary hasn't featured on his channels. But yeah, incredibly, I never actually got my hands on the version 1. So yeah, it's nice to finally see San Martin's interpretation of a vintage homage. And if you want to know why I don't mention the name of the watches that are being paid homage to, head over to the video description. There's a paragraph in there which explains it. Now, before I go any further, I think it's worth pointing out I've only had to remove 2 links to get it to fit my roughly average 7¼ inch-ish wrist. So if you are interested in picking up one of these in this sale, make sure you message San Martin to ask if they can put in some extra links if your wrist is perhaps bigger than 8 inches. But yeah, very nice seemingly. As you would expect, the build quality seems pretty good. Let's have a little fiddle with the bezel. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Oh, listen to this. Very crisp clicks, aren't they? Right, let's check out the alignment. Yep, alignment's pretty good. No back play. Alignment on the dial seems good as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. You can see the AR coating though, can't you? Wow. Right, let's get out the calipers, I think. I've changed my mind. I've decided to test the crystal first, given I've just mentioned the AR coating. Right, let's see if this thing is sapphire crystal. I'm sure it is. Yep, sapphire crystal. Very nice. A piece of... Ooh, might be single domed. There's some distortion there, isn't there? Yep, so single domed, box crystal, but it is sapphire, and there is a blue AR coating. Look, right, let's give you some dimensions. The bezel is roughly 40mm. Case seems to sit inside the bezel, doesn't it? So I suspect the case is closer to 39mm. Let's see if we can test that. Yeah, around 39mm, look. Just under 13mm thick. Female end links, so we're just going to measure the lug to lug. That is 48.7, 20mm lugs. Bracelet tapers down to roughly 16 and back up to 18 at the clasp. Right, set up for my roughly average 7¼ inch-ish wrist. It is just under 41 grams. Let's add the other two links while they're here. Give you the total weight, including those links, 148 grams. Screw down case back and a screw down crown, giving the watch 200 meters of water resistance. There it is on the dial. Look, predominantly stainless steel construction. That will be case, some of the bezel, the case back, the crown, the bracelet, the clasp. The bezel insert is ceramic. It is a 120 click unidirectional bezel because it is obviously a dive watch. The bracelet has solid end links, solid links. You've also got very nice screw pins, lovely finishing on the bracelet, brushed top surface, polished sides, brushed underneath, and then you've got the very familiar clasp that San Martin seem to be using now on pretty much all of their watches. 3-piece fold-over clasp. Seems to be fully milled. The outer shell is very nice. If it is pressed, yeah, it is a very nice outer shell. Brushed on the top surface with an applied logo, double pushers, some high polished chamfered edges running the length of the clasp, and yes, some very nice double pushers and 4 micro adjusts. Let's have a closer look at the finishing on the case. It's got high polished sides and a very nicely polished and quite discreet chamfered edge there. Look, circular brushing on top of the case. These slightly more slender lugs, they're a little bit longer as well, giving it that slightly more vintage look. Slightly smaller applied indices on the dial as well, and fatter bezel, I think, also adding to that vintage style. Very simple dial, black dial, applied indices in a fairly standard configuration for this style of watch. Same as the hands, high polished, traditional diver's hands for this style of watch. Applied logo, and I suspect the lume's pretty good. Let's test that next. Right, let's give a quick boost with the lume torch. 3, 2, 1. There it is, BGW9, and on the whole, San Martin lume is very good. Very nicely, evenly applied between the hands and the applied indices, and even the lume clip. So I suspect that's going to last, yeah, pretty well. And here it is on my roughly average 7¼ inch-ish wrist. A lovely weight, just over 140 grams for me, this one. Actually sits quite flat on the wrist, doesn't it? Yes, there is some box crystal there, but when you look at the bezel and the case depth on my wrist, well, it doesn't seem to protrude any more than the clasp does. Look at it. So $210 for this watch in the sale. That equates to around 197 British pounds. I've said for a couple of years now that the sweet spot for San Martin divers is between $200 and $250. This is at the lower end of that scale, if you like. So yeah, I think it represents good value for money. You've got the usual strengths: build quality, fit and finish, strength of lume, bezel action, and YN55A. I know it's not everybody's favourite movement, but it is a Seiko Epson movement, so a good reliable movement that gets put in Orient watches, I believe. So yeah, lots of strengths to this watch, the usual strengths that you tend to get with San Martin watches. I think the only complaint people will have in the comments section is that it is another dive watch on my channel and another dive watch that looks a lot like this one. But it is a fantastic example, and for the money, I do think it represents great value for money. So yeah, if you're interested in one of these, I would strongly suggest you pick it up in the sale, because that 20%, 19% discount, whatever it is, I think that's pretty good value. Right, guys, do let me know what you think in the comments section. I'm sorry I've not been able to produce a proper full in-depth review